welcome to In Frame. I'm Jay Lazarus Hawk.
I'm Jamie Hall.
And we are Rising Fire Productions. This week we have in our in-house today with us a special guest, Mr. Sam Baer.
Hi.
The director.
Mm-hmm.
Did you write it as well? That was a question I meant
correct.
to ask. Okay.
Yep.
Writer and director of the feature film I Filmed Your Death. Tell us a little bit about what I Filmed Your Death is about, Sam.
All right. Basically, it's about a amateur filmmaker who's obsessed with exploitation movies, and he decides to make one about a tragedy that actually happened in his hometown. And it basically is kind of about the day where he tries to premiere that, and how everything kind of goes wrong.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and where this story comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And there are just so many things I want to actually to get into, because I happen to know a few things myself already. But give us a little bit of background on you and this story itself, where it comes from.
Well, you're in luck because I love talking about myself. I'm from Connecticut originally, and I grew up there until I was like 17. Then I came down to Memphis for school. But when I was in Connecticut, I kind of just started being obsessed with films around the time when I was about 11 years old. And I just started making movies constantly with my friends after that. And then by the time I was like 13 or 14, I started actually like writing scripts and storyboarding it and stuff, and making everyone do take after take after take, and just being like a real dick about it. And so it kind of just grew from there with making movies with my friends. And I made my first feature with my brother and one of my best friends, Corey Buckley, when we were 17. And we premiered it up in Connecticut at a movie theater up there. And everyone hated it.
Well, I think that happens to all of us as independent filmmakers along the way. Somebody's going to hate what it is we do.
Yeah. I think I was going for it for that one, though. I think I was.
You was wanting the hatred.
Yep, definitely.
Well, it's a great way to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you create a controversy, and all of a sudden, you know, everybody's paying attention to what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, you and I have kind of an interesting connection.
Mm-hmm.
You being from Connecticut, I also moved here from Connecticut in '97, and I worked in a building up in Connecticut when I had first gotten into Hartford, the Colt Gun Factory building, actually. And I worked for a group called the Connecticut Citizens Action Group at the time. And my understanding is not only are we both from Connecticut, but we've both passed through that building.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. Like, the first time I actually had a long talk with you that came out that you worked there and I lived there for like 2 years with my mom. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. That's definitely a pretty I don't know, a pretty strong building when it comes to like the spirit it has.
Indeed, I was actually going to comment that I can see. Now, you lived there for about 2 years, you said. I can see the effect that building could have on a young, impressionable mind, because I don't know how many renovations it's gone through since I've been there, but what an incredible building.
Mm-hmm. No, it was exactly the same as it was probably then. Like, it was, yeah, we were just living in a loft there.
I mean, you think about the history that building has.
Mm-hmm.
The, you know, makers of firearms for how many years?
I mean, certainly at least probably 100, I guess.
I was going to say close to 100 or so. And then when decommissioned as a factory, immediately small businesses started renting space in it. I believe the next thing that happened was artist lofts were put in, and then actual living quarters and apartments for residents. Now
it's been kind of like gentrified, I think, and every single person's been kind of kicked out, and it's all like really nice apartments. So that's kind of a shame.
That is a shame, because, you know, we see here in Memphis all of the old buildings, and we see how many of them are getting taken down. They're leaving the facade at the front at best, and then everything else is a complete renovation, and there's so much character in those old buildings. And, you know, I know for myself that having worked and lived in buildings similar to that sometimes that's where my inspiration came from.
Yeah.
And the newer prefabbed or just cookie-cutter homes and apartments of nowadays really don't inspire much in the way of creativity. Would you agree?
I agree. I mean, I love the fact that, you know, we're using some of our buildings in this town for something other than letting them rot.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful buildings in this town, and I'm sure up north and everything, that just go to nothing. And I love seeing them be able to turn them into something. But you're also correct; they take a lot away from them when they turn them into these upscale apartment buildings.
They lose that that essential character.
They do. They do.
That you watch old movies, and there are many films where the environment is as much a character as anyone in the actual film might be. And I feel it's a shame that we lost that, especially in the cult building, because no longer living in Connecticut, but always in the back of my mind is my experiences in that building.
Yeah.
And some of the things that they inspired, which I have used in story ideas and things like that.
Same here. Like, definitely a big part of the reason why I care about making movies is just because of the kind of atmosphere movies can have. Like, just the feeling that you can get from, and that's really what I'm going for. So old structures like that are pretty important. And that's actually the first feature I made. My friends and I just spent like several years filming it in my hometown, and for like 6 months or so, we just broke into this old farm over and
Better
over
to
again.
ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
Well, it's funny because
Absolutely.
we played that in front of like 150 people in there, and we put it on the public access channel, and like nobody ever from my town has ever been like, you weren't supposed to be in there. Or,
Really?
like, we had to like peel back part of the wall, or go in through the windows and stuff to get in there,
Wow.
and it was pretty fun.
Now, was that in the first feature, or was that in this one?
That was the first feature.
Okay, where did you actually film I Filmed Your Death?
Well, I filmed Your Death in Connecticut. I went back up, and actually, it's kind of there's kind of a long story behind I Filmed Your Death. Once again, because I like talking about myself. And
Well, please.
I'll go back to the very beginning for you, Les.
Absolutely.
All right. So basically, I started writing this movie in 2007, and it was going to be the second feature I'd ever make.
Okay.
And
So that would have been just after Cigarette Girl.
I would have made it the summer after that. I mean, actually, that's the thing. I tried to make it the summer after that.
Okay.
I got everyone together, and up in Connecticut with all my friends and stuff, I tried making it, and we only got like 75% the way through, and it just kind of fell apart in a gigantic disaster.
Okay.
And actually, the last day, someone almost died on set too, and it was very.
That's
Never a good thing.
Yeah,
That
it
is
was-
never a good thing.
It was a disturbing ending to that movie, and I kind of just like tried to forget about it for about a year and a half until, like a friend of mine who I respected at the time watched it and told me, that he thought it was really good and stuff, and that kind of made me just have second thoughts about it, and I just couldn't kind of get the characters out of my mind after that, and
Okay.
just started putting the movie together since then.
Okay, and now for those that may not know, Cigarette Girl was Mike McCarthy's feature film, in which I played Ace, you were a props master, and that is actually where we were able to really discover who each other was.
Yeah.
We had met in passing several times before that. I think once at Craig Brewer's parties or something like that.
Probably with the
And
Indie Fest
an
or
event or two,
yeah.
and I think Indie Fest as well, because I knew your father, your stepfather, excuse me. But as a prop master, you were fantastic. You paid amazing attention to every aspect of what was going on, and I had no idea that at that time that you intended to be a filmmaker. I then start seeing posts all over Facebook of I Filmed Your Death, which, title alone, now I'm intrigued, what is this? I found out you were connected to it. I believe, is John Shaw also connected to this?
He's a producer on it, and he plays one of the main characters, and he actually helped me write his character too.
Okay, now, and ironically, we have a connection through him as well.
Mm-hmm.
He used to work at the Blockbuster that my current mother-in-law was the manager of.
Yep.
So there's, like everything else in town, it's a very inbred situation.
7 separations.
Not even. Now, anyway, I saw all the names connected to it. I immediately became intrigued. And all I saw was promotion. I never really saw footage. I didn't see a lot of behind-the-scenes photos. And I found that very interesting for an independent filmmaker when we have to do all of our own promotions. One of the reasons we do this show is to help with that, to help people who are filmmakers, ourselves, you, others in town, to get that attention and promotion. But having met you, I knew the reason behind that was because you were making the film. You weren't really doing all of the other things. You were a very focused individual, in my experience. And then just October, you walked up to me at the Indie Memphis and gave me an iPad or something with the rough cut of your film's trailer.
Yep.
Which I was so distracted because obviously it's Indie Memphis, there's people everywhere. We had just walked in the door. And I felt really bad that I wasn't able to focus. But at the same time, I wasn't able to stop watching it. Part of that was your choice of songs that you had inlaid on it, which I don't know if that is currently the case or not.
No, it's not.
But Brian Eno's Baby's on Fire, you really just can't go wrong with that song.
And that was actually my cinematographer's choice for that song. But yeah, I love that song.
Well, I know you also as a fantastic fan of music. The number of things I've heard you mention in conversation very much are contradictory to your physical age. You're very aware of what else is out there in music. But getting back to your trailer, I'd like to go ahead and actually show the trailer. Can we get that queued up? How long did it take you to actually put together this trailer?
Well, that's a good question. This cut of this trailer I actually edited in 2 days. Because that's one of the things, I learned how to edit at a public access channel, and I only had a small amount of time there, and so when I would edit trailers to my stuff, I would just do like a lot of, planning and thinking about it and stuff, and then I would get in there and, go right through it. So I did this whole thing in 2 days, but...
So like everything, you're very focused.
I guess so, yeah.
Well, that's very respectable.
Although this isn't the final cut of the trailer, because I'm gonna have someone do the voiceover. It's just me right now doing kind of a pretty cheesy voiceover, so I have to deal with
Well, in a 2-day edit, one-man job, you have to do what you have to do in this market. So, not the final cut of his trailer, but I Filmed Your Death, written and directed by Sam Baer. Take a look.
Dig! I said dig!
The picturesque hamlet of Bolton, Connecticut. Your typical New England town. However, under its beauty is a tragic history. Meet young filmmaker Pierce Linde, born and raised. Perhaps you know Pierce's grandfather, former trooper of the town, and a beloved public figure. Pierce's friends have just helped him make a movie, and it premieres tonight. Not everyone is happy about it. This could be the best night of Pierce's life, had he only known. I filmed your death.
All right. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, our sound issues, as we are plagued often with technical difficulties as we learn to do a live broadcast on a weekly basis. Before that, you saw the trailer for I Filmed Your Death, written and directed by Sam Baer. And in that, you heard a song. What was the title of the song?
The song is called I Filmed Your Death.
Well, the song is titled as the movie, and it is written and performed by
Brett Trail.
Brett Trail.
Hi, hello.
And I understand you are one of the actors in the movie as well?
I am. I played Jake in the movie and did a little bit of stuff for the crew part as well, audio and production manager.
He was
So-
a producer too.
I was going to say, the truth of any independent
Bit of film,
project
yeah.
is you had
wear,
many hats.
Yeah, you wear as many hats as you possibly can to make it.
Now, are you native to Memphis, or are you from Connecticut?
I was born in Michigan, moved to Middle Tennessee when I was about 6 or so, and moved to Memphis for college, and I've been here since and love it. I wasn't too crazy about Tennessee until I moved to Memphis, actually, and I love the city.
Okay. Now, how did you and Sam connect?
We met in a producing and directing class at the U of M, and he, I found him staring at me actually in class. He seemed,
I still do.
yeah. He was almost hypnotized, I guess, just by my charm or what have you. But it turns out he thought I was good for the role of Jake. And he told me everything about it, and I was immediately psyched. He said he had Peter Tork involved, Merle Allen, Gigi Allen's brother, and at the time you were talking to Mink Stoll, and that was exciting to hear. That didn't go through, but we got somebody even better, I'm sure. And it's just an awesome project to be part of, and working on it every day was a dream come true.
Now, you guys, from what I've read up and did research on, you've had a lot of people like that. Like Michael Horse, Gigi Allen's brother. So, how did you go about, contacting some of these people? That's awesome that you was able to get some, because I was a big Gigi Allen fan when I was younger. I mean, still, I say younger, but I still am.
Yeah.
And I found that phenomenal that you was actually able to get somebody, the people that you got in this. Mm-hmm. So, explain to us how you got in contact with some of these folks on this.
Well, yeah, basically, I mean, we didn't have a big budget, really. We only had $10,000 to work with. But I ended up getting all those people just because I was working on the movie on pre-production for, 2 years, and throughout that entire time, I just kept on. I knew the parts that I had, and I knew the people that I could use for it, and I knew, what I was a fan of, and so I figured there'd be a big cross-section of people who were fans of all these things. And so, I basically just reached out to a whole bunch of different people that, I mean, you can kind of tell by their web presence whether they're approachable or not.
Right.
Someone like Michael Horse, he has a website where he, sells the jewelry and stuff that he makes now, and so I figured it'd be pretty easy to contact him then. And I just pretty much thought about, Twin Peaks, and I kind of went down the list of people who would be approachable and the people who would, probably want to do it and who would fit parts that I had. And Michael Horse was actually the first person I contacted from Twin Peaks, and he was on board, so it was pretty awesome.
I know that you guys have a connection there with, with the Twin Peaks, you being a really huge Twin Peaks fan. One of the ones that really interested me, because I'm a big fan of Toxic Avenger, is Mr. Kaufman.
Yeah, love it.
That had to be, I mean, I would just love to have been a fly on the wall working with him. Mm-hmm. So, was it really exciting for you guys to be able to work with him? What's he like as something like that? I've seen him on TV a lot, and he's a character.
I mean, he's pretty much exactly that same character when you're spending 10 hours with him in a row. And this was actually the second time I worked with him. I had him for a feature I tried to make in 2010. I had him come to my town in Connecticut then too, and because he's super easy to get a hold of, yeah. And I mean, even I think he'll basically try to do your movie for as cheap as possible. And,
okay.
So that's what he did for me in the past, and that's what he did for me here.
I understand Mr. Horse was also very kind in regards to his fees to do.
Yeah, definitely. He read the script and said that I could pay him the lowest I could possibly pay him for SAG rates, and that was really nice. And so
That also shows a lot of support from these people who, I mean, they've been in the business, Hollywood, the industry, and they're reading your script and coming back at you with comments like that. How does that make you feel as the writer and filmmaker?
I mean, the whole movie is it was a pretty surreal experience. Like from start to end, just the kind of things that happened throughout all of it were pretty strange. Like it's kind of just like I wanted to make this movie, my whole life basically, make it this way, and then it just, I don't know, I just did it over the course of like 3 years pretty much.
Now, Brett, what was it like, here's this guy you sat next to in class. Now you're out there, you're on a location, you're on a set, you're running the lines, and, there's Michael Horse.
Oh, it was really cool. It was actually the first time, the first celebrity we worked with as a crew was Peter Tork.
Okay.
And from what I kind of figured and heard, he was kind of going to be like the most intimidating to approach, perhaps. And I was the second person to introduce myself. Our buddy John Shaw introduced himself first. He's like, "Hi, I'm John. Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Hi, John, Peter." And, shook his hand. And then he gets to me, and I'm like, "John." Brett. He's like, "Your name's John too?" And I was like, "No, it's Brett." He actually said one of the Yardbirds did that to him, like the first time they met him. So that was kind of funny to hear. And but yeah, Michael Horse, I think we worked with next, and he was really cool. And he just was totally approachable, laid back, had a story for everything, hung out with the crew and everything.
Yeah, he just hung out with us he came the night before we started shooting. He flew in and he just hung out with us for like an hour or so, just hanging out and telling stories before we brought him to the place where he was staying.
And of course, he gifted you with something I am extremely jealous of that I wish you had brought with you just so I could kind of hold on to it for a moment. But he actually thanked you by giving you a signed copy of a Twin Peaks script.
Yeah. 2 days after he shot with us, in the mail from him was his own personal copy of I think it was episode 21. It's each page is numbered and stamped and stuff, so so we couldn't photocopy it or anything. And you can see on the top it says Eric DeRay, and then it's crossed out and it says "Oops, Michael Horse." It was pretty cool.
So it might have been Leo's copy, but it was actually Deputy Hawk's.
Yeah.
All right, well, sounds like some of the background noise has thinned out a little bit, Brett. I'd actually like you to pick up your guitar. I can't swear to our audience we'll have the best quality sound, just because we are doing a one-camera shotgun mic for the afternoon. One of our tech guys had a paying gig he had to go to.
Oh, that's understandable.
So we can't argue with that. That's what we're trying to do for all of us.
He's close to the microphone.
Okay. Well, I understand you should be close enough. This will be I Filmed Your Death, written and performed by Brett Trail.
Yes, sir. And this song is written about a reoccurring dream I had up until we made this movie.
fantastic. That was I Filmed Your Death, written and performed by Brett Trail.
That's the folk version, right?
Yes. There's also the punk version, which is fun too.
Well, we got what we got, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. So
Thank you.
Congratulations on that, and good luck with the collaboration. What character is it you play in the film?
I play the character Jake. Jake Ridgway, who is the brother of Albert Ridgway. Which have you?
No, we haven't touched on that
talked
yet.
about Albert
We're
Ridgway at all.
Just getting into it now, actually, as far as content. So I wanted to get an idea of what character, who you were in the story.
He's a baddie.
Yep.
All right, that's fantastic. Now, John Shaw is also in it. Plays.
He plays the character of Declan, who's a petite virgin loser,
Okay.
according to the main character of the movie.
And I understand also that we're going to be joined here in a little while by one of your co-producers, but if I'm not mistaken, he is also in the film.
Mm-hmm.
What role does Charlie Metz play?
Ooh, he's my counterpart.
Yeah, the two of them were buddies in the movie, and they drove up and stayed in the same cabin together as well,
Okay.
in the entire time,
And-
along with Nathan Murphy.
I'm going to say it before Charlie gets here so I don't embarrass him too much, because I really do blow Charlie's horn quite a lot. I think Charlie is one of the best people I've ever met, just as a human being. I love having that man on my set. I love being around him at any point I've ever seen him.
Mm.
The fact that he was in this movie was enough for me. I'll be honest. I saw a still of him in a scene that you had posted somewhere, and I realized it was your film, and that I was seeing Charlie Metz on camera. I was there, and then I found out that you had Gigi Allen's brother, that you had Michael Horse and these other and Peter Tork, etc., etc., and I to have watched you gone from the props master on the set of Cigarette Girl, which was as independent to shoot as they get, to behind the camera, writing and directing your own feature film, and to see you have this kind of a cast, and I just had that moment of proud to know you. I really am impressed to see how far you've come from that time to this, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Well, thanks, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, in terms of the cast and stuff, the cast really, not including Michael Horse and all those people, just the cast of people that I have, like, all the rest of the actors are incredible. Like, every single person I got, it really was, like, 2 years of just kind of accumulating people, and like Brett was saying, just kind of seeing him and being like, that, he definitely seems like he could work for that. Or Charlie, I'd only heard about Charlie. I'd never met him until last May, where I just ran into him at Focus Fest, and I just lost my person who was going to play that part, and I was like, I wonder what that guy would be like. And it's just like just kind of feeling around and just sort of kind of feeling the energy of people around me. And,
You can't do much better than Charlie if you're looking for someone's energy.
yeah, certainly.
As I said, I think he is probably one of the best people I've ever had the fortune to just meet. And, I met him on the set of a production that I was hired onto. And there were some minor issues on the crew side of the production at times. Mostly just petty little things, and it happens when people work extended hours, especially when they're working with the same people repetitiously. And all of a sudden, here it was day 4, day 5, something like that, and we have a new crew member, Charlie Metz. Never met the guy. And all of a sudden, everything behind the camera has completely changed. It has run smoothly. No one is complaining. No one is snapping at each other. No one's yelling. And the only difference is Charlie is sitting there by that camera being Charlie.
And I'm not BSing you here, but I really feel like we had an entire cast and crew of Charlie Metz. Like, every single person there was just so... They were that kind of intense about it, and that, like, really on their game. And, I agree with everything you say about Charlie, but I really just love everyone on there.
That speaks volumes to you as a person and as a director, to be able to attract that many people of that quality, of that caliber, all willing to dedicate that kind of energy and effort to your production. As I said, I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to see you have taken this step and to have come this far. So kudos on that. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit about it.
Okay.
Albert, apparently, is what I need to ask about. Tell us about Albert.
Okay, well, basically, this is where the movie does kind of get a little bit, well, not a little bit. This is where the movie basically gets controversial.
Okay.
Because, I like I said, I came up with this whole concept in 2007, and this idea was in place in 2008. But Albert's a character who goes into a movie theater and shoots up the entire place with an assault rifle and kills everybody. And so that's the local tragedy that the main characters made a movie about.
How did the Batman story in Colorado affect you?
I mean, just like, yeah, the morning waking up and seeing that, and that was something I had thought about a lot since, that the movie had been in production about, like, what if something like that actually did happen. But having that actually happen was just, I don't know, it was very, very shocking and very disturbing. And, I don't know, basically I just kind of, I thought about it, and I talked about it with, like, my dad and with pretty much, I don't know, everybody I knew who I respected, and just kind of came to the realization that kind of the message I have with this movie is pretty much, it's, I don't know, about talking about things like that, and it's about not being afraid to talk about things like that, and kind of trying to make everyone be a little bit looser about being able to talk, because I feel like that's kind of one of the problems with mental health in this country.
So you're going to stick to your guns and, and
Yeah.
go with it?
Well,
I can respect that.
I certainly respect that.
Let me interrupt one moment.
Go ahead.
Matt, you can tell your customers it's perfectly all right.
Okay, thank you.
We're doing a live broadcast. We know there's going to be movement and noise, and we've got it set up for you.
As I was saying, is I truly respect that, because a lot of people would just have taken it out or not showing it at all. We talked last week about a film that I'm doing that has a lot of controversy surrounding it right now, and Lazarus had asked me last week if I would take anything out of it, and I told him I don't think I would.
Yeah.
And I applaud you for doing something like that. You are correct. We don't talk about things in this. We try to shovel them under the carpet, lay blame at this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But I truly respect that, and I thank you for that.
Thanks. Yeah, like, I mean, I just felt like so many people just came out of the woodwork basically telling me that I should change it, and everyone who did that, I don't know, their reasoning was just not sound to me. And so I didn't want to change anything. I thought it'd be more just respectful to the entire thing if I just kept it exactly how it was. And that was about a month before we started shooting.
Yeah,
when
like
that
the
happened.
Kickstarter was up. It was like in the middle of the Kickstarter campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Which-
so it actually happened before you even filmed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It happened a month before we started filming.
So
Like you said, right in the middle of the Kickstarter
even more
campaign.
courageous than I thought to go ahead and stage that and film that at that point.
Well, see, the whole thing is it's about basically the aftermath of that event and a filmmaker trying to make a movie about that, and he's making a movie about it not because he's trying to make some sort of statement, but just because he's kind of in love with exploitation movies of the 60s
Right.
and 70s. And
So it's almost ironic that many people, especially those who maybe don't see this broadcast, of course, they're going to look at it, they're going to see the real life event, then the production of a movie, which is about the production of a movie of a real life event. So there's an irony
yeah,
that rolls through our unfortunate history that now tumbles into your film, and you're almost that filmmaker.
pretty much. Like, the whole thing is that the main character, whose name is Pierce, and he's played by one of my best friends, Mike Catanese, who he's phenomenal in this movie. Like, when Michael Horst met him, he was all excited about talking to him and stuff, and we went to his parents' house, to Mike Catanese's parents' house, and we're inside talking to his mother, and she gets kind of serious, and she's like, "Now, Sam, don't you go taking Michael to Hollywood. Don't make him think he can act." And we bring him outside, and Michael Horst, who wasn't in there and didn't hear that, literally said, "We're gonna take your son to Hollywood." And she's like, "Oh, okay." But
Nice.
he's incredible, and he plays the main character. And basically, the main character is pretty much just the negative side of me. I think he's me if I didn't come to Memphis, if I'd stayed in Connecticut and kind of not found the support group I needed for making movies, and just kind of kept on making my friends do it when they didn't really want to. And
I can actually kind of relate to that. One of the things I got out of coming here was I discovered film.
mhm.
I had always thought it was a pipe dream. You know, I'm a few years older than you are. I came down here in '97, and that was right on the front end of that digital era, where now everybody could go out, could buy a camera, could make a movie. And I didn't see that coming. So to me, making a film was a pipe dream. I'm never going to be able to afford 35 millimeter film or 16 millimeter film. I'm never going to be able to afford to have it developed if I even can get the film. And then where am I going to get a camera? So when I came here, you know, I met Craig Brewer, and I did a short scene for him in The Poor and Hungry. And then through conversations, he decided to support me and executive produced my first film, Morning Ritual. So I kind of relate to not having that creative support group in Connecticut. You know, I had a family and all, you know, all of that comes with it, but I didn't have the artistic outlet available to me. And I came here, and that really changed a lot of things for me as well.
And there are a lot of people up there who, are just incredibly helpful and incredibly, like, just a humongous part of the entire process. And I guess it's definitely more I just needed to, I don't know, I needed to sort of figure some things about myself, too. I kind of needed to realize, because making movies before I came to Memphis was always a very angry process for me. Like, every movie I made, since I was like 12 or whatever, when I had to deal with other people, it was just extremely frustrating for me, and that was just because I didn't know how to do it. I guess I just needed to learn how to do it over the course of like those 10 years or so. And so yeah, getting away from that and getting away from the kind of director I'd turned myself into, I think, is like a big part of what made me not become the main character in the movie.
Okay, now being in Memphis. What filmmakers do you know here that you respect, that you kind of learn something from?
I'd say basically my mentor here is Mike McCarthy. Like, I met him for the first time when I was 13, the first time I was ever in Memphis. And I gave him one of my movies, which was called Cat Crap Fever. It was the first movie I ever finished editing. And it's about me stepping in crap and then puking. And it's 5 minutes long. And
I can see Mike liking that.
he said something, some sort of comment about it, and I was like, oh man, what a jackass. That wasn't, and I harbored some sort of resentment against him for like 5 years until I met him again. Actually, it was less than 5 years. It was like 3 or 4 years, because I met him again when I was 17, and my stepdad kind of got involved with him, and then I got involved with him and became the prop master on Cigarette Girl, and also like sound on that, and I've worked on just a whole bunch of shorts since then. And yeah, just watching the making of Cigarette Girl was a completely eye-opening experience for me.
I have to say, I had actually been, putting together my own little projects prior to Cigarette Girl. But being able to have the opportunity to sit back in the actor's chair, where, it's a completely different kind of thing. And for me, and I don't mean to say this is the truth of all actors, but for me, the acting process is a lot less stressful. And I sat back and I watched a lot of things happen on that set, and it taught me a lot as well. And that's, as I've said before, that's where we connected. And it was a great crew.
Yeah.
They all did their job, and despite whatever adversity it may have been at the time, whether it was Mike with too much caffeine, Mike with not enough caffeine, or just a minor misinformation or exchange of information between Mike and we. Everybody around it, like you said, had that energy, had that desire to make this a successful production. And it saddens me that film isn't bigger than it is, because
it
I
ought
think
to be.
it's a really good movie.
It ought to be a lot bigger than what it is.
I personally think it's one of Mike's finest works.
I definitely think so. I think it's really exceptional. I hope it gets seen sometime soon.
I hope that he will bring us more as well. I've spoken to Mike, and there are times when he's not so sure if it's worth pursuing at this point any further, and I do understand his arguments, but I feel that it's such a natural, innate process for him to create that he'd be doing himself as well as us a disservice by not making more productions.
Yeah. I think he actually wants to come on here. You should ask him.
I want him to.
Yeah,
I very much want to have him. I'm doing a few things where I'm hoping to be able to bring him in, and there's a few other things, not just this show, that I'd like to talk to you about.
Certainly.
Because we are doing our own acting class as well, and I'd like to have some people come in and actually talk to actors, and I want to bring in directors and filmmakers, people who actually work actors, to actually work my actors in class so they start to learn different styles. Because right now it's myself and Jamie that are teaching them. And then they can go other places in town and find different coaches, which we encourage.
Because a lot of people, a lot of upcoming actors and actresses don't understand that we're not always going to be the directors that they work with.
Yeah.
There's so many different directors in this town, and they have to. I don't want them seeing them get just adjusted to just my style, your style.
Yeah, and having talked with Sam, even just this conversation, you can get an idea of what it's like to work with Sam on set. Working with Sam on set and then getting your next role on a Mike McCarthy set can be a very, very different experience. And then going from that to one of our sets can be a very different experience. So you need to learn the language because every director works differently. So I'd love to have you come in and actually address our class at some point in the near future.
And we really were kind of blessed with a boot camp style way of getting everybody into the movie with our movie, where Brett and Charlie and John Shaw and Nathan Murphy all came up a few weeks ahead of time, and most of them lived in a cabin together, and we just kind of worked on everything to do with the movie for like a week and a half before we actually started production on it. So like they were all the leading parts in the movie, and they all kind of just got to be the reason, or like the way the movie was getting made, basically.
So, I mean, and you can include the name actors as well. How long was your casting process?
I mean, I guess you could say it was like 2 years long. I guess
Really?
Pretty much. When I started, I reached out to Peter Tork a year and a half before we started shooting, and I didn't know I didn't know if he was going to do it until like 3 weeks before we started shooting. So that was
that's one of those things where you're just standing by, just waiting. What am I going to do next? I mean, we've had to do it 1,000 times before, but when you have somebody like that,
that could be such a
it's such a, if something were to happen, it would be a major. I would consider it a major setback.
Definitely. And I was talking to other people too, besides for him, in case it didn't work out. But yeah, I definitely wanted him really bad. Because have you guys ever seen the movie Head? Yeah, that's one of my top 25 favorite movies, and we watched it during the production.
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay. And that was actually getting into one of my next questions. Of course, I know already David Lynch. Who are some of your top directors and top works that inspire you to continue making films?
Well, definitely, yeah. David Lynch is number one for me, pretty much. I feel like I was raised brainwashed by Twin Peaks because my parents were obsessed with it when I was
There are worse things.
1. Exactly, I think it steered me in the right direction. What would Cooper do?
Exactly.
But we had the Diane tapes on cassette, and we just listened to those on family trips and stuff. So when I was a kid, I just had this idea of what Twin Peaks was. And then when I was in 4th grade, my brother and I started watching the series and just watched it over and over again and stuff. And so I've always been obsessed with David Lynch.
Okay.
So besides for him, John Waters certainly. That's another thing I really wanted to kind of try and do with this, is make it something where we're all almost daring each other to do things, or it's just kind of a crazy, I don't know, a cult basically of people making a movie.
Okay.
Also, oh sorry.
I was gonna say we really fed off each other's energy, when it came to just doing big stuff in the movie, and because there's lots of fun, shocking moments. I feel
yeah.
in this movie.
There definitely are, and it really was well, if this, if people weren't game immediately, they would get game by the time we were halfway through the movie, just because everyone was doing for it,
Okay.
Also Kevin Smith, I really love every movie he made, and just Clerks. I think for you too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when we saw both of it, or when both of us saw it when we were kids, it just made us want to make movies.
What'd you think of Red State?
That's a tough one because I was really looking forward to Red State for a year.
That's a departure.
Yeah,
It is.
that's a big departure for Kevin Smith.
And I really liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I was hoping I would. And I think it's a great movie for him to have made. I hope he keeps on making.
Well, just coming off of Clerks, Silent Bob, and all that I was glad to see him make something like that.
Definitely.
It was like you said. There's a lot of things that could have been a lot better about it. But I was really fascinated to see him do something, and I enjoyed the movie. I was fascinated to see him do something like that.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping several years back that he was going to be able to direct his script for Green Hornet. And in my opinion, quite unfortunately, that landed in Seth Rogen's hands and became
one of those films that you
that
hurt you.
Yeah, it does. But I was hoping that Kevin Smith would do it because I've read Kevin Smith's comic writing. And, I'm not a strong Kevin Smith fan. I respect him. I did like Clerks. And I respect his style and what it is he does. But I wanted to see him challenge himself and do something that was a departure. And after having read what he did in comics, I was hoping that the Green Hornet was going to be that step. So I was also looking forward to Red State, but it.
I think I don't know.
Wasn't what I thought, I guess.
I definitely consider myself like a super fan of him, I guess. So I pretty much I do really appreciate everything he does. But he's a director actually that I wish had more like self-confidence, because he seems to think that he's not a good director, and he seems to think he can't do it.
And I think that was because he wrote I believe he actually wrote a full script for Green Hornet, and then said someone else would have to make it because he couldn't handle dealing with all of the special effects and the complications and things like that. He didn't understand it. And all I could think of was, I'm a filmmaker. I don't understand the tech at all. That's, I've got Marcus Kent Hampson sitting behind the computer and I whip him like a slave to do things because I don't get it. You don't have to. You have people, you have a crew for that. And he's a good enough filmmaker that, I guess it's the confidence issue.
Yeah, he tried to get Robert Rodriguez to direct Dogma for him because he said it was too good of a script and he didn't think he could handle it.
And see, now I think that's one of his better ones.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best movies he made, certainly.
So. Brett, walking around, you got Peter Tork, Michael Horse. You commented that it was a bit starstruck when you met Peter Tork.
Yeah.
What was it like actually getting on set and acting with these people? Did it make the job of acting that much harder?
I actually didn't have any scenes with any of our celebrities. I got to mic up celebrities,
okay.
And that was fun. Miking up Michael Horse was a blast because I was across the room and he had a lav on, and him and the other character Pierce, played by Mike Catanese, they were both laved up, and I guess they realized I could hear him, and they started making me laugh by making fun of me and stuff. So everyone's getting ready, and I'm checking levels, and I can't stop cracking up because Michael Horse is commenting on how short I am. And so he was a blast, and I got to mic up Lloyd Kaufman as well, and that was really fun. And I took the headphones off when he went to the bathroom. I wish I would have kept them on because I heard that Charlie Metz walked in on those. And I wish I would have.
That would have been a golden moment. Yeah. No pun intended. Okay, so you never actually had to face the whole swallow the starstruck and just put it out there on the set.
No, I just tried to be professional around him, and it was fun though, and Lloyd was a blast too, because right from the get go he brought that trauma energy. He whipped his camera out first thing, and it was all in everyone's face, moving around. I kept expecting it. Yeah.
I'd love to work with him one day on anything.
Well, apparently he's easy to get with.
Yeah, so. he's every time you see him, he's just I laugh every time I see him on anything.
Get some digits from Sam when we do a commercial or something.
Which we need to go to.
Okay. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. And I actually wanted to get into what it was like to direct some of these people.
Cool.
We're going to take a break here for a moment, and we're going to take a look at a music video. This is a music video that Rising Fire Productions produced. No? Did you not bring it? Now I'm an ass on live TV.
There could be worse things.
I suppose there could be.
Oh, yeah. There.
Okay.
Let's try it. We'll see. It may or may not work.
Okay, we're going to attempt to play you the video that Rising Fire produced just about a year ago. A little bit less than a year ago now.
It was about a year because it was right after Cold
It
Blooded.
was right after we did Cold Blooded. So, this is "Listen to the Words" by Leela.
I'm Sherry Henley with Business Over Coffee. It's great to be with you today and to be with this great panel of professionals that we have here with us today.
I think we influence each other just about who we are and how we act.
There's some very strong studies done through positive psychology that talk a lot about the neuropsychology of enclothement or empowerment through clothing.
We are bringing everyone together. Hi.
Welcome back. Lazarus had to step away for just a moment, but I do want to ask you guys, what was it like, especially for you being a director of this film, directing people like Michael Horse? You know, how did you feel about that? Was it exciting? Was it a lot of nervous tension for you?
Well, the first one we worked with was Merle Allen, actually, who we shot with Merle about a month before we started shooting the movie. He was touring through Connecticut, so I talked to him like 6 months beforehand, and I was able to meet up with him somewhere in the state and shot his stuff. And I was pretty nervous about that, but he kind of just set me at ease. And actually, all four of them were pretty easygoing. Like Peter Tork was definitely the one I was most nervous about, like Brett said too. For him, it did sort of start out rocky, where I didn't quite know how to even approach him or anything. And luckily, actually, Peter Tork was a really good actor. Like,
right,
he just got right into character and everything. But as the day went on with him, I felt more and more comfortable with him, and more, willing to kind of get,
Now, did you get any time to meet? You said you met with Merle for a little bit. Did you get any time to meet with the others before you started shooting to kind of, conversate with them, get to know them a little bit better?
With Michael Horse and Lloyd Kaufman, I did, but with Peter Tork, it was just the second he got there, we had to start shooting because we only had him for a certain amount of time during that day. So and plus for each person, we shot with them for only a day each, but there's 5 scenes or whatever per character at the least for each of them that they're in, because I wanted to make sure they're in the movie a lot, so I give them characters that are pretty beefy, and so it really was just like run and gun with Peter Tork. And I think around lunchtime that day we all just kind of got to talk with him and just
sit down and just
relax and everything.
Right.
But yeah, for him it really was just jumping into it. Michael Horse, like I said, we picked him up from the airport, and we had the whole night beforehand of kind of hanging out with him and just him telling us stories and stuff. And by the time we got to shooting with him, it just felt like we were all buddies with him. So yeah, there was no sort of fear there. And Lloyd Kaufman I'd met before, and so he's just such a guy that you can tell doesn't take himself seriously. That he's just very easy to talk to.
Fantastic. Did Michael Horse have any David Lynch stories?
Oh yeah, I definitely. I at a certain point I tried to grill each of them on fanboy stuff, and I got into it. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. I didn't realize that he'd known Lynch since 1970 or so. They'd been friends since then.
I did not know that either.
Mm.
Wow.
And also, it's funny. Everyone seems to have a Peter Tork connection because Michael Horse, I guess, played with him in the late '60s. He played with him for a little while. And Merle Allen said that him and Gigi's favorite band when they were kids were the Monkees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that blew my mind.
That is kind of an odd
For Gigi Allen,
cross.
anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we were on the break, you mentioned that you wanted to shout out to a few specific people, and that was actually something I wanted to give you an opportunity to mention anyway. Your crew.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Brett did some sound work. I'm sure Charlie did some stuff behind the camera as well, because it's Charlie.
Mm.
If there's something to be done, Charlie will help you manage to get it done. Who did you have, and what were their positions that you really feel stood out for you?
I mean, we had a pretty bare minimum crew. Some days when we knew there were going to be more people, I went on Craigslist and asked for production assistants and stuff, and we got some people those days. But really, most of the time, it was a pretty core crew, and everyone has I don't know, 4 or 5 jobs that they'll have in the credits pretty much that they were just doing all the time. So yeah, Brett did all that. Charlie was assistant camera. my buddy Walter up in Connecticut, he just really helped me throughout all of the summer and completely just helped me gear up and help me shoot the Kickstarter video and really just kind of be, I don't know, have everything in place in terms of shooting up there beforehand. And he was basically just doing everything he could. He was working full time and going to school, but also just like constantly running off to make a prop or like going somewhere to get this or that.
You can come on through.
Sorry.
We're obviously live at Black Lodge Video. We got customers moving around. One of the reasons we chose to do this here at Black Lodge Video is because, as filmmakers, this is a very important place to us. This is the only place where we're guaranteed we can put our movies on that shelf over there. Why more of us don't do it, I don't know, but that's what they're here for. What's it like for you? You know, how do you place Lodge in your life? Because obviously there's the huge Twin Peaks connection. I'm sure the name alone would have brought you out, and then you come and you see the sign that they've got in the front yard. So, how do you place Lodge in your world?
Pretty high up there. Like when I came here for the first time when I was 14, and basically I'd come down to Memphis for the week, to visit my mom and stepdad. A lot of times when I was younger, and so for the whole year, I'd plan out exactly what I was going to rent here. Like I would watch every John Waters movie that was available up in Connecticut. When I was like 14, I was like, all right, and when I go down there, I'm gonna finally be able to see like Pink Flamingos and Desperate Living and all these other ones, And so it really was. Every time I came down here for a week, I'd get like 20 movies or something like that.
So it's like a school.
I mean,
this is the library.
Exactly. And it's that's exactly what it is a library or a school, and that's the way I've always seen it. And
Excellent.
I don't know.
Now, when the time comes, will we be seeing I Filmed Your Death sitting over on that shelf?
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Excellent. What are your intentions moving forward? Now, I'm going to grab one of these and hold it up here. I don't know if anybody around Memphis has seen these. This is a I Filmed Your Death asbestfilms.com. AZBEST films.com. I believe that is the site for the movie, yes?
Yep.
These are all over town. You've probably seen them spray painted here and there. This is we talk a lot about grassroots marketing, grassroots connections, and getting your film done and things like that. That is probably the most grassroots form of advertising anyone could ever do. It's graffiti. Graffiti advertising. What made you think of that, and why does it work so well for this film?
Well, that's a really good question. Brett actually did the posters himself, so I think he could probably answer that pretty well.
Yeah, I figured it'd be the easiest way to get signs up, and I figured stencils would give it a little bit of some sort of professional look. I mean, despite it, like you said, it is very grassroots and graffiti essentially, and I don't know, I just threw together some designs, put them on some paper, and tacked them up around town. I figured that way. I mean, if they're on paper, like we're not gonna get hassled for like vandalizing or anything like that. But just trying to get our name out there and get the name of the movie out there, and I guess creep people out a little bit too, because I think the first wave of them just said I filmed your death, and
without any other information.
And that's what was catching my eye. Now I'd already seen at that point the Facebook, and I knew who it was. And I'm riding around and I'm seeing these things all over town, and I'm just laughing as I drive down the road, because almost no one else that's seeing that sign is really going to understand what they're seeing.
Yeah, it's just like I love them because it seems pretty threatening. It's just like it's so. I feel like the first time you made one of those and showed it to me, that was one of the first times I just seen the title like in that way before, and it really was like, oh man, that's a strong.
I think it's hysterical because, as I said, so many people will see it, won't even know what it is, but as a exploitation styled film, what a fantastic style of marketing. I mean, it's on that same level of just coming out at you in your face. And I kind of think that it was a genius move. Now, have you seen positive results from having that up?
Actually,
has the site gone?
I mean, people have talked to me about it. Craig Brewer had said that he retweeted one of our Kickstarter things, I think, and saying that he'd seen our signs up all over town and stuff. So I've had a bunch of different people actually tell me they've seen him.
Like, I don't remember where John heard it from, but like John Shaw, who plays Declan in I Filmed Your Death, was talking how he heard through the grapevine that some on some Twitter board or Facebook board, someone said, "I seen a sign that said I filmed your death. I hope there's not a snuff site out there," or something like that. So essentially, at least one person was like worried enough that and got that creepy vibe that I was hoping they'd pick up.
Before I knew any details, I actually assumed maybe it was not an actual snuff film, because of course I know Sam, but if it was going to be a play on the snuff film, in which case throwing those all over town again, just I couldn't go anywhere. I mean, first time I saw it, when I literally had tears in my eyes, I was laughing so hard because I knew you're such an unassuming gentleman, at least in my experience. The idea of you being in my face is alien to me, because you've always been very, very calm, very intelligent, very well spoken. And this was so in your face, and I just to try and equate your personality with a film about snuff film, as I thought, with this kind of advertising campaign, I connected the dots and had a very amusing picture. Now, I want to correct that the film is absolutely not about snuff films in any way.
But it is a snuff film.
Well, apparently almost was.
The original one,
in the original take, and I wanted to get back to that. We've done films where, you know, I've hurt myself. I, of course, have leg problems anyway, so, you know, I've hurt myself for film numerous times. We had Jamie had a film last year, almost to the date, that
this
he had
weekend.
this
Was
weekend.
a year old. Cobalt is a year old this weekend.
He had an actor with a pair of scissors and another one blindfolded, and the one blindfolded could hear the scissors, and he just
And was worried to death that
how
Todd
close
was
they
going
were.
to cut him. Yeah.
And of course, he's, you know, almost half a room away from him, really. What's it like when it's your show, you're running the show, and there is a serious moment, and, you know, someone's hurt, someone's injured, or may very well be. What goes through you? How does that affect you as a filmmaker and as a person?
Yeah, in this case, it was somebody who we had out in the middle of the lake, and he just completely, he started drowning, basically. And my friend and producer at the time, Corey, went out and saved him. But it was pretty weird, because it was literally while we were filming him, and we almost filmed his death for a movie called that. So I don't know, it definitely brings up the idea of how much responsibility you have when you're putting people in these situations that you think of, you know? Like, you just come up with this idea, and then all of a sudden someone's acting it out, and it's because of your stupid-ass imagination that they're doing it, you know?
Right. Well, we can definitely feel that. I mean, one of the first films that Lazarus and myself, you know, really worked together on was a film called Glowing. And there was a section of the film that was where we had to hang a gentleman crucifixion style 70 feet off in the brewery.
Do you know Marcus Seabury?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Well, it was Marcus Seabury. We had to hang him from one of the rails of the Tennessee Brewery.
Oh, man, that's a scary place to be hanging from.
Well,
and as it turns out, fear of heights. #1 fear for Marcus.
Yeah.
Took us a little over an hour to get him to do it, but he did it, and I think it changed him as an actor and as a man. He has said to me a number of times that he really appreciates that we put him through that challenge. I personally think I went 30% grayer just filming that scene.
Yeah, I mean, the first day that we had found out that he was going to actually be suspended, you know, we were truly going to suspend him from this, and then they bring out this bucket, and I'm looking at this bucket, and I was like, why do we need a bucket for? And they's like, oh no, the safety harness is in the bucket. And I was like, really? Can I see it right quick? And it was like 4 ropes put together with like a strap. And it was like, you're gonna hang this guy from that? I'm like, no,
And you know Marcus is a big. He's
yeah,
a big man.
he's a bigger guy, and I was like, there's no way that you're hanging this guy from this far up. So we had to send somebody. I wasn't gonna let him do it. I paid for a safety harness for him to be hung on, but I was so nervous about him hanging from there.
In all fairness, putting him up there like that was my idea. It was a variation on the script as it existed, and I just felt we wanted more of a bigger moment. And I came up with the idea, and as an idea, I saw a certain genius to it. About the time I saw Marcus shaking, as he faced having to do it, I really started to become concerned myself. And in truth, there was no reason. The writer and producer of the project, Forrest Pruitt, had already put the thing on, thrown himself over the rail, and danced in midair like it was nothing. So we knew we could do it. We knew it would support him. But watching a grown man face such a significant fear kind of changed me in that moment. So I can imagine, nearly losing your actor as you film. I filmed your death. I could see that being a very impacting day's shoot. And then...
And that was the last day of shooting we ever had on the movie for the first time around in 2008.
I could well imagine so, and I can see why. And then, of course, you look at going back to it, and now you have the Colorado theater shoot.
Excuse me.
Was there a point along the way where you really did think, maybe I shouldn't do this film? Or or was it just...
No,
stick to it?
There wasn't. I thought, like I said, I thought about it as thoroughly as I could, and I thought about it from every angle, and the whole thing, it was just such a disturbing thing to happen, like I said, and when I saw it, I was just in tears that morning. But the whole time, I feel like I just knew I had to keep making it. Like, it was just something. It was, I don't know. Like I said, throughout this whole process of making the movie, a lot of really surreal things have happened, and that was definitely the most surreal. I think was that, and that I don't know. That was probably the thing that made me realize I had to make the movie. I guess one of the things where, once I got to that point, it made me realize how important the movie was to me. That I would still do it in that circumstance.
Okay. Now, the scene in question where the gentleman drowned, I got kind of a two-part. Is that actor in the present version?
Unfortunately not.
Okay. And does the scene that you were filming exist in the script that we will be watching on screen?
No, it doesn't. It didn't carry over. But that wasn't because of that. The movie was just really long. But and I wish he could have been in this. He was... He's actually a pretty good actor. His name's Garrett Ross, and he was in a bunch of different things. It's like a featured extra, and he had a line in like Taking Woodstock and stuff.
Okay.
And but I think he might have quit acting. But either way, yeah, there's no hard feelings after he almost died on our set.
Well, that's a good thing. That's an easy thing to take very personal.
Yeah.
From here, what are your intentions with the project? How far away are you from a final edit, even?
I'm at least a couple months away. There's a whole lot of post stuff I need to do, and there's some like probably a day worth of reshoots I want to get in early spring before it starts getting green up there. But after that, the plan has always been that we want to go on the road with the movie, and basically just try to get it into every film festival we can, every like small film festival no one cares about, or any other film festival.
Will we be seeing it in Indie Memphis this next year?
I'd like to. I definitely want to submit it to that.
Will it? Now, I don't know that you actually have to have a final cut to submit.
I definitely want to be. I want to be done by the summer. I want to have a final cut by the summer.
Excellent.
So it should be.
Excellent. So we can look forward to possibly seeing it in Indie Memphis. Then from there, you'll go on the circuit with it for any idea how long, or
as long as it takes, I guess. Like, and that's the other thing too, is we're not just going to go to film festivals. I also in Connecticut with my friends for 3 years in a row, I rented out a theater and did the first year was my first feature, and the next 2 years I just put on a film festival. I asked everyone to make a short, and we put it on. So I basically want to find just kind of small, non-corporate theaters around the country that I can reach out to and be like, hey, I have a night of programming if you want to do it, night of programming, and see if they'll go for it, and just like split the money with them and just kind of tour around and just show it to anybody and everybody, basically.
Okay. Do you have any specific plans now Indy Memphis here, your second hometown is Memphis, you're going to go to Indy Memphis. Do you have any specific goals up in Connecticut? Any specific areas up there you're looking at?
I know just there's going to be a hometown premiere up there. Not in my hometown because it's a very small town, but in the town
What
next
is the
to it.
hometown actually?
Bolton, Connecticut.
Okay, yeah, that is a small town.
Yeah, that's like 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Graduating class is 73 in high
So
school.
would you do it in
It would be in Manchester,
Manchester?
which my friend Walter works at the theater there. So
I actually know Manchester well. I lived there for a period of time.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that's crazy.
I worked at a business called Bradley's.
Oh yeah, I know
In
the
the
Bradleys in
Manchester
Manchester.
area.
That's weird.
How funny that.
Yeah.
Joining us now, of course, is Charlie Metz. Charlie, one of the co-producers, one of the crew members, and one of the actors in I Filmed Your Death. Charlie, welcome to the show. As always, it's my pleasure to have you anywhere around. I've told you many times and told everybody here, you're one of my favorite people, especially in the town of Memphis.
Thank you.
What character did you play?
I played the character of Buddy, and Buddy is is a pretty screwed up individual. He's Brett's character's sort of. I wouldn't call him a friend, would I?
That's a good way to put it. I'd say I'm your lackey.
Mm-hmm. And I guess sort of after Buddy and Jake, they kind of everything kind of starts when they get really irritated at the main character for making a terrible movie exploiting a really nasty situation.
Yeah, because
Okay.
he was Albert's best friend and he's Albert's brother. So
And Albert was the one who actually did the shooting,
yeah.
right?
Mm.
Okay.
So yeah, it's basically Buddy's drank the Kool-Aid and he's
Gotcha.
into everything that Albert was talking about.
Okay. So he's the next one going to the
He's basically he decides to. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but
don't wanna give
basically
too much away.
Buddy's got a sinister plan and a sinister urge.
Okay, now where does John Shaw's character fit into all of this?
Well, basically, it's the whole day of the main character Pierce trying to show the movie on the public access channel, and so he has a party for all of his friends and the people that worked on the movie, and just kind of it's like we. My way of saying it is kind of like it's as if Clerks kind of just turned into if everyone got killed in Clerks about
Okay.
3/4 of the way through, because
Okay.
it's just like you're hanging out with these people and Pierce is trying to put together this party and he's having all of his friends come in. John is one of his friends who actually John's kind of Pierce's lackey, I guess.
Okay.
He's someone who comes and is just kind of eating out of his hand the whole time, and he goes through an interesting transformation
now-
throughout the movie.
Lloyd Kaufman, Peter Tork, and Michael Horse. How do they relate to this story? Are they families of victims? Are they?
Well, Michael Horse kind of represents that. He runs a television show on the public access channel, and he has Pierce on there on a live show that day, and he's just kind of representing everybody who's really pissed off at him for doing this.
Okay.
And he also there's just a whole bunch of little soap opera stuff with him going on in and around the Community Voice channel after that. Peter Tork is the main character's grandfather. He's Pierce's grandfather, and Pierce lives on his land. So, Lloyd Kaufman is another. He's an ex-filmmaker, a guy who used to be an exploitation filmmaker back in the '60s. That Pierce finds a disturbing secret about.
Interesting.
And Merle Allen plays himself.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So Charlie, what was it like traveling to Connecticut? Filming? Did you have scenes with any of the famous actors?
Don't give away what it is, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't want too many details. The question I actually have is, first of all, who did you have a scene with?
I had a scene with Peter Tork.
Okay.
It's pretty funny.
Was
Just busting to tell.
what was it like to meet Peter Tork, and then because that's Peter Tork in front of you, was it actually harder to be on set and in character?
Well, the scene that Peter Tork and I are in together it's not like it's not very challenging for the character. So it was more physical.
Okay.
And
It's a love scene. It wasn't written
Is
that
that
way, but
what it
Charlie
was?
just took it.
So Charlie just took it.
It was very intimidating, but at the same time, Peter Tork was very disarming. He had a very like quirky sense of humor that was really enjoyable. It made him very enjoyable to be around and everything. But I was still very nervous to do that scene with him.
Now you say it's a physical scene, and I don't want to give anything away, but what's it like to have Sam tell you you're going to go over here and you're going to
Mix it up.
lay hands or mix it up or whatever it is on Peter Tork?
I was very. It's kind of hard to talk about it without like totally spoiling all of it, but it was very nerve-wracking because this whole morning Peter Tork was just being like the coolest guy ever, and then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, I had to put on like,
And now you got to
mean
go into
face.
character. And that was actually the root of my question: was it difficult to not look at Peter Tork and say to yourself, "That's Peter Tork"?
Well, I don't necessarily think so, because I can get starstruck pretty easily, and intimidated easily by that power, but there was something about not necessarily not being like a huge like Monkees fan or anything. I wasn't 100% familiar with the band members or their story or anything, so that probably made it a little bit, not being familiar with him probably made it a little bit easier for me.
Okay.
And like I said, Peter Tork had a really cool way of just being like oddly quirky and
It
funny.
makes it easier. It breaks the tension when, especially if you get starstruck really easily. It brings the tension down to where you're like, okay, this is just a normal human being, and it's not. They're not going to be this giant ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually, he's Peter Tork's so I don't know, such a nice guy basically that I went back up to Connecticut a couple weeks ago for Christmas, and I wanted to get a couple extra shots with him, and he just came over to my house and just did it for an hour. And actually, I had the nerve to ask him to shoot a couple scenes for a short I was doing too, and he just did that, no question either.
Very
So
nice.
yeah, I don't know. He's just such a really nice guy.
Well, when we were talking about Charlie earlier, and as one of your crew people, you were discussing the fact that you had just everyone had that great energy, that fantastic feeling that as the people you want to be around, the people you want to be working with. And of course, that's how I feel about Charlie, and he knows that every time I talk to him, I tell him, because it's just, words are never sufficient for the impression that has been made. Charlie, for you on set, was that how you felt too? That just the energy of everybody there was just relaxing and creating the environment you wanted to be a part of?
Yeah. No, the energy. I mean, the energy is just like it was very positive. It was rougher, in the first couple days because everybody was kind of like getting acclimated to each other and trying to figure out how the flow of everything worked.
Also, you're living in like a 10-foot room with two other people.
But I mean, that was a lot of fun though. We had a lot of good times in that house. First couple of days were really rough. Like it became a little bit easier after a while to sort of like transition between like crew and like acting and stuff. But the first few days were very difficult to do that.
Yeah, because both of them did have like full-time jobs, Brett and Charlie, on set for several days when they were also the only people acting in the scenes. So that was a ridiculous thing for me to do to them.
Now, is this the first feature you've done, Charlie? As an actor?
As an actor, yes. I am involved in another feature, but that's being shot right now. But
And that's Chad Allen Barton's
yes,
Vice Camera
LCD. And the character that I play in that was only kind of like a one-shot character that's in one scene. So it's a little difficult to count that one, I think.
How do your experiences with Sam on his set, working with people who have a name, Peter Tork, Michael Horse, how do those experiences differ than the average experience you have here? Because I know you crew 30% of the films in town, I think. I just, every time I talk to a filmmaker, they say they know who Charlie is because he's been on their set. So how is your experience with Sam on this feature different than the average small budget, no budgeted film that's done here?
The experience was radically different because I mean the travel alone was made it very, very different. That I love traveling, and Brett and I we drove up there, and that was an experience too. That journey was very daunting.
It's a 20,
long trip.
27, 28-hour drive.
Oh yeah. And
Done
but
it a few times.
Yeah, that was I mean, I love to travel though, and just like getting to be in a new place, in a separate environment, where everything was so radically different was just, I mean, that made so much difference for me, and also playing the character, I had never played a character like that either, that was so like intensive and like really difficult.
I saw one clip that I can recall that is of you, and it looked like a demanding, like physically demanding role, at least in some scenes.
Yeah, there was a lot of there is a lot of physicality to the character, and there is some scuffles, some tiffs, some tiffs and some scuffles, but between my character and a lot of the other characters in the story. But yeah, I guess to answer your original question, it's very, very, very different experience, because I guess a lot of the characters that I get sort of play in town are more humorous and silly, and it's funner and everything like that. But it was very different experience to play such a like really weird, intensive individual.
Something you'd do again?
Oh yeah. It was. Did you tell him about the other two?
Mm.
Okay.
I will though.
Okay. Okay. But I mean, but yeah, no, definitely. Playing that kind of character was it was rewarding.
It's nice to be challenged as an actor.
Mm-hmm. It was rewarding in a really weird way, and this is something that Sam and I talked a whole lot about, is about like exercising certain things out of yourself. And on a personal level, I've always had a problem with like bottling emotions and having difficulty trying to get those things out, and I think that there was something I kind of learned from working with Sam, is that it's probably healthier to let that stuff go.
It's certainly an opportunity when you're playing a character like that to really purge, and reach in, and sometimes as a acting coach, I tell people, a lot of times you're going to be playing a character, and if you stop long enough, what they're going through in that moment is something you've experienced in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to go inside yourself and find it. Now, you have to be careful you don't get lost. That has happened to actors. But when you do it, and you do it successfully, and you can separate when you're done, there really is a therapeutic release to a character like that, where you get to just let it go. Just let it all go. You made a reference that we're going to tap into now. The Other?
Well, this is...
You know what you're talking about, obviously. So.
Well, this is definitely going to be seen as getting ahead of ourselves, I guess. But I definitely, I have 2 other movies planned out that would take place in this world of this movie, and I kind of just have like, there's a whole lot of different ideas and hints, I guess, in the first one that kind of set up things that would happen later on.
Okay, so you've set up more or less kind of your own little universe, a bit like John Waters.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it definitely, and that's the thing too is, ever since like I said, I love atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since I started making movies, and actually Kevin Smith too, he has a whole like enclosed world that.
As I say, yeah, his worlds are sort of.
And so like I love films that do that, and everything I've ever done, kind of, I've just been conscious of that, and so now it's sort of actually, I think, building into something. And this specific thing we're talking about, I guess, would be I Filmed Your Death 2 and 3, which. You know,
it plays off of each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all just pretty much. Because once I stopped writing this script, I just couldn't stop myself from thinking about the characters. Like, I really like so many of the characters in this movie that it's just impossible for me to stop.
They sound like vibrant characters. I know Charlie. I've seen a clip or two where I saw a Charlie I've never met. On what I saw on the screen was not the Charlie I've seen, whether in person or, as you said, even the other films you've been in, where you're basically more of a humorous character or a tongue-in-cheek kind of a thing. This looked like a performance. This really looked like you were put through your paces as an actor, and I really look forward to kind of an opportunity to maybe get a private screening at some point, because I really do respect the work that you're doing, and as I've said before, I'm very proud to have known you from the prop master guy to a writer-director in your own right you've put together a film that not many people could do. I myself haven't really considered reaching out to anyone like a Peter Tork or a Michael Horse. I didn't really think of it within my realm of likelihood right now. And you kind of inspired me, and maybe I don't speak for Jamie, I don't know.
Oh, definitely. That's why, when I was doing some of my research and everything, about you, because we don't know each other as well as you and Lazarus do. But when I was reading about it and you working with these characters and everything, it definitely inspires me as a filmmaker to be able to reach out to people more like that.
And that's the thing. The people that I reached out to all have a devoted following and stuff, and they've all done projects that like mean a lot to the people who are fans of them. So I feel like you just have to look for that kind of person that would be receptive to that, and that appreciates the people out there and appreciates people who actually want to keep making things.
And it brings you an audience.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah.
There's an inherent, as a fan of Twin Peaks, if I did not know you, I would find out that Michael Horse had done this film, so I would kind of think, hey, what is Michael Horse doing now? So I'd look into it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the hope with like the 4 different people we have, that the people who are a fan of one or more of them will be like a pretty big cross section of fans of them. So hopefully it'll get us the audience.
You attract a very interesting group of people that's likely to be fans of all of them, as well as individuals who may not even have heard of one of the other ones.
Yeah.
So it really is an interesting cross-section that could be attracted to your film.
And I think the great thing is, too, that people will, like, come for those people, but they'll definitely just stay for these guys and, like, John and Tom Foreign and just every actor in this. Like, I know I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but, like, they're all just so good. Like, there are just so many good performances in this where there really isn't, like, a weak link of the chain.
So, what was it like for you to write dialogue and then get on a set, see that dialogue come to life, and then also, as a Twin Peaks fan, to see some of that dialogue come out of Michael Horse?
Yeah, that was
your words.
That was really crazy hearing. Just on both levels, it was crazy because we did about a week of rehearsals before we shot, and just kind of hearing all the dialogue then was just, it was really rewarding, I guess, just seeing the group of people that had, come together for it. And then taking it the next level and hearing, like, people like Lloyd Kaufman saying lines. That for Lloyd Kaufman, when we asked him, his assistant was like, is this, do you want him to be, like, serious or, like, funny? I'm like, no, I want him to be serious. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess,
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think everyone just kind of wants him to be silly and stuff. And he is silly because he's just such a goofy guy. And, like,
Cool. He's a
he makes
creator
that
of
character.
trauma film.
Yeah, you know, Toxic Avenger. I mean, I can remember watching that as a kid, you know, and going, wow, this is awesome.
But hearing him talk, yeah, some of the lines he says are just beyond what I could have hoped they would be like. And I mean, same thing for Michael Horse or Peter Tork. But Lloyd Kaufman specifically, I'm thinking of because in it, like I said, he's a washed-up exploitation filmmaker.
Right.
And he made a movie called Hurler, which is a female vision of Himmler. And so it's just hearing him explain that is like that was amazing.
The fake poster was priceless too.
Yeah, I had a
Big busted hurler.
and then he was like, "Woo!" But no, the production design is something that I'm pretty proud of for this movie too, actually, because we had a couple different people getting props, and then basically just everyone who was involved, we all just did stuff. Like everyone here made posters and just things that were up there, and I don't know. I think it gives a pretty cool like.
Well, when everybody works just as hard as you do, your crew, and in a lot of our cases with being independent filmmakers, that our cast is our crew as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when everybody gets involved in it, it makes, especially for you, it makes you feel a lot better because that's a unity that you guys have come up with now. I know it. My first film, which was released a year ago, my lead actor is taking a lot of things above and beyond what some of the things that he plans on doing with this film. So, and it makes me feel good, and I know that it does for you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Sam definitely put together a tight-knit cast and crew for this movie. And just the bonding experiences that he said, he made sure we all did. Every night, we projected a movie on the side of our creepy cabin we were living in, and we're watching 2-3 movies a night. And on Tuesdays we were going to the only bar in Bolton and doing Taco Tuesday karaoke's and just drinking and yucking it up with each other and having a good time. So by the end of the movie, we were just a tight family, and everybody loved everybody.
And that's what I keep talking about all the time, and especially with us here at Rising Fire. I mean, we consider ourselves family, and we know that family doesn't always get along with each other, and things happen. But we try to do the same thing as far as we tell people when they come on our sets, now you become part of our family. And it's so important for me, and I know it is for Lazarus too, and Kent as well, that you have those people, that you can depend on and call friends and family now, because it just makes the workday so much easier. And it's not always easy doing what we do. And when you have people like Charlie and yourself and other people that you can consider friends and family, it makes it a lot easier to do.
And it's funny because, like I said, I didn't even know Charlie. I mean, I'd only talked to him once in person before he came up to Connecticut, actually. And, yeah, I don't know. Everyone there, I just feel like I'm bonded with for...
Must have been a fairly satisfying meeting.
Well, actually...
To finally actually meet Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing you've now chosen him.
Seeing him come out of the van triumphantly, yeah. Actually, I think they were both. I don't know. It was a weird first impression
from the road.
Yeah, it was a strange first night because they came to my house and I was on it was my parents' house up there, and I was on my porch with my dad and stepmom and our family friend, and we were all just not all of us. Some of us were drinking quite a bit, and it was a pretty funny situation for them to walk in the middle of. I feel like.
All right, so now Charlie, I know you're working on Lights, Camera, Bullshit
Yes.
with Piano Man Pictures for Chad Allen Barton.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be here in a couple of weeks, hopefully, if he's feeling well. I understand he's not doing well right now.
Yeah.
We
Unfortunately.
hope he'll recover from that. I'm sure it's whatever Memphis is kicking out right now. All of us have been taken down by it at one point or another. Is there anything lined up in addition to that you're working on now?
I'm doing a whole lot of writing right now, so I hope that I've got a lot of big plans for this year and everything too, and I hope that I've got some short film ideas that I'm wanting to shoot, maybe in like the spring and stuff like that.
So you're gonna sit in the director's chair.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I haven't done that in a while.
Excellent. I didn't know you had done it at all. I always see you crewing films.
My friend Craig and I, who's actually over there, we back in 2009, we actually made a short film that we co-directed, and that we both we were both actually in as well. But it's been a long time since I've done anything
was
like
that one?
that. That was a short film called Project D.
Okay.
We took it to Indie Memphis, and I was pretty happy with the reaction that we got out of people for it, and there was a lot of people that really seemed to enjoy it. And
You have to
Yeah.
you have to get a copy in here on the shelf.
really, oh,
That's what this is here for.
cool.
Matt Martin created Black Lodge to be the best possible collection of movies that he could put together. And that's why you find things in here you will never find in another store. He goes to all lengths to make sure he gets films from all over the planet, not just U.S. films. But one of the most important things he ever did from the start was he created a shelf for local cinema. And in, what is it now, Matt? 12 years? 13 years?
13.
In 13 years, that shelf has gone from a few films to a few more films. Filmmakers are not bringing their projects in here. And this is a place, he offers you a spot on the shelf. Bring your movie in. Put it in a box and bring it in. And let people have the opportunity to come in and see it. And, you know, no matter what you may think of it or not think of it, good, bad, or otherwise, it's a local independent production. And he wants those on his shelf. In the long run, the goal is all of us will become better and better as we go, and he'll have a collection of the works we've done to get there. So please, put your film together and bring it in. You too, Sam. I know you got short films. Put them together, bring them in. That's
Well,
what
actually,
this
I
place is
gave
for.
my feature once, but I think it was stolen.
What better compliment?
Yeah.
What better compliment than to have your film stolen?
Unless it was just to destroy it.
Don't go there.
Yeah. Keep it at a happy level.
No, actually, you know what? I guess it would kind of give me comfort to think someone would go to the lengths of destroying my movie. Like, the first time I saw Last House on the
It's
Left...
passion.
Yeah, the first time I saw Last House on the Left, I saw it with my buddy Micah and my brother Alex, who plays Albert in this movie. And I saw it when I was in, like, 7th grade, and it upset all of us so much that we went outside and chopped it apart with an axe.
Well,
The same axe that you guys are...
if any
filming this movie.
copies exist, you should put it down onto disc, and you should bring it in and put it on the shelf, and let the next generation of filmmaker that's going to be walking into Black Lodge after school sometime come in and see what others have done in town and learn from it.
Yeah.
Grow as a filmmaker themselves. What's going to be next for you?
Well, working on a couple potential scripts that hopefully me and Sam will be able to whip out through Asbest Films.
Will this be short films?
Feature.
Feature?
And yeah, I've been feeling pretty good about those. And other than that, just furthering furthering Asbest Films, because that's where I feel like I'm dedicated to.
Okay.
Like I'm not necessarily trying to crew around on like all sorts of different local projects, but like anything Asbest needs done, like I'm anxious to do. Eager to act for him, eager to write for him, and eager to podcast with them.
Ooh.
Dizzy Ramblers podcast. Check us out. AsbestFilms.com.
Nice plug. Nice.
Yeah, I was looking for a way to shove that in there.
Actually, I'm going to give you an opportunity to put some information out there. Are you looking to jump into the director's chair at all?
Yeah, like I'm definitely. It definitely seems more doable seeing Sam do it. Like, because he did it, and he did such a cool, level-headed job in such a professional way that I know it's capable for a young adult to do. Like,
Nice.
So yeah, as soon as the opportunity comes, or I push it to be there. Like, I'm anxious to jump in that chair myself.
Excellent. Now, Sam, what's next for you, obviously, is finishing the edit on this film and hitting the circuit of festivals. Will the next project you do be I Filmed Your Death Too as a director?
No, as a director, I find that no matter I don't know. Any director, I think, who makes a sequel to their first movie, especially if their first movie was a horror movie, if they make a sequel like right off, I feel like that's usually a pretty bad idea because it kind of just pigeonholes them for that forever. But I don't know. I kind of have several different movies planned out depending on what happens with that film draft. Like, you know, if it kind of blows in my face, then I have a movie that I can make for a pretty small budget. But otherwise, I have kind of just different ideas of what I'd like to direct next. And basically, I just want to help these guys make their movies now too, considering they did such a part on mine.
Well, that's part of being a team.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we do very much with each other is support each other and what it is we're trying to do. He's currently filming a promotional trailer for a feature he'd like to do, and you know, our schedule got thrown off because of one thing or another. I don't know, many of that people getting pregnant.
Yeah. Our film has been plagued with pregnancy.
And those delays have now meant, instead of getting everything he needed filmed in January, he's looking at late January into February still filming. So I'm actually taking a project I had on the boards off the boards and delaying a little bit so that we can focus and get this done, because that has to be the priority right now. And that's part of the give and take that comes
And I
with
was the
being-
first one to go, no, don't take it off, don't take it off. Let's keep it there. He's like, no, we got to do this.
We got to do what we have to do to make sure that each project lives up to the standards we want to create as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those sacrifices need to be made. So I find it very honorable that you even said, that you put into words your desire to actually help them make theirs as a next step. I respect that a lot, and I commend you for that.
Well, this movie definitely changed me in a lot of ways, but one of the main ways is, like, I don't think I'll ever have a movie that says, like, a film by Sam Baer. Again, I used to do that all the time, which I guess was pretty accurate because it was pretty much me doing everything, but, like, this was just such a collaborative process with all of us, and I think someone that I haven't really talked about at all that I really kind of want to talk about is our DP. This guy named Brian Prispek, who, I mean, he was pretty much like Peter Tork or any of those. It was insanely lucky we got him. The thing he'd just done before our movie was like a commercial for Sony where he'd gotten paid the exact same amount of money for 3 days that he did, or that our entire budget was for this movie. Like, he never worked on anything this small before, and he'd been DPing for about 10 years, and he'd been working in the industry for 20. And he just read the script and really liked it and decided to do it for, like, the cheapest he's ever gotten paid.
Wow.
And
how did you come? This isn't someone you knew already, so how
yeah.
did you come across him?
Well, the person who was going to shoot the movie dropped out, and I was kind of just madly searching around for someone to do it, and I went on to the Connecticut Registry of Film Workers website, which looks like it hadn't been updated for about 10 years.
Probably hasn't.
Yeah. And I look down every single one. I look at exactly, you know, on if they shoot digital, on, you know, what their past history is. I look at the reels and stuff, and I send messages to a couple of them. And Brian is the guy who definitely caught my eye the most. And then I saw that he shot Return to Sleepaway Camp, which I was like, oh yes.
Well, that just sells it.
Yeah,
right
that
there.
makes it right there. Yeah.
And but yeah, he I just emailed him and said that I found him on there, and I think he just was kind of charmed by the fact that, I don't know, he said he'd never had anyone really reached out to him because of that website before, and I think he just thought that was amusing, I guess. So he got into it. He liked the script, and I guess just liked, you know, the situation I was putting together. So I mean, I don't know, just the amount of like professionalism he brought to the movie is incredible. Like, it looks so amazing. And
What did y'all shoot it on?
we shot on his 7D.
There you go. That's what I shot my first film on, was 7D and 60D. So
Yeah, I mean, with DSLRs, there's no reason why you can't have something that just looks amazing. Like, he just knew how to light everything and just keep it so consistent. He was just, yeah, and Charlie worked under him.
He had started out in the industry as a gaffer, so and you could definitely tell. I had never. He was just unreal to work with. I mean, he was definitely a force of personality, but he was an incredible guy to be around. Very charismatic, but just never seen somebody that could just work just that fast and just, you know, consistently, and just like not. It seems like he just never ran out of steam, and he, like, not only did he work, not only did he work quickly, but the amazing thing was is that he was resourceful,
Yeah.
and that was just, just unreal.
It's a very important quality.
That is, I mean, this past weekend was really one of the first times that with our cinematographer, Marcus Kent Hampson, that we'd actually got to work together as a single entity, as he as the DP and me as the director, and Kent's the same way. I mean, he's focused, he knows where we've talked about it, he's focused, he's ready to go, he's there. And I can understand that.
And that is, for me, I guess, the most important relationship in the making of a movie for me at this point is director and cinematographer.
Absolutely.
And he's only the second cinematographer I've ever worked with, because up until I was, 19, I just shot everything myself.
Right.
And so it was
Nice to be out of.
Yeah,
It's nice.
I mean, that definitely gets rid of a lot of the stress, or at least a lot of the stress I had then. But yeah, he was incredible, and
Yeah, I think if I hadn't found Kent, I'd probably be bald by now. Because I can point a camera and I can get a pretty picture, but I can't run a camera. I can't set everything. I don't know all the features and all of that. But if someone sets the camera and hands it to me, I can get you a hell of a shot. But I really do enjoy not having to do the camera work, direct. I actually am a strong proponent of not acting in my own films very much, because I prefer to focus on one or the other.
Well, it gives you a lot of respect, especially for somebody like Robert Rodriguez, that always directs from behind the camera.
yeah.
I mean, it does. It gives you a lot of respect for people like that. I hate doing it.
It's almost impossible to keep a camera out of your hand.
Well, I know, but
But
I have a vision.
But there is a benefit to having that separation. Now, asbestfilms.com, AZBEST films.com. In addition to that, the podcast, go ahead and give us contact information or whatever else it is you might want the people out there to know about.
Well, yeah, you can find pretty much everything we're doing at asbestfilms.com. I'll talk right to the camera right now. And some of the things are the podcast, which Brett and I and our friend John Shaw have done. And we've had we're called the Dizzy Ramblers. And we've had some other special guest stars. Charlie might pop up in an episode, maybe.
I did at the last 5 minutes of one.
Yeah, you did.
Now, what does the podcast cover, or is it as it sounds, just rambling?
It is rambling, but it's rambling with somewhat of a focus, because before each episode we either watch a movie or watch a TV show or something, and then we just kind of talk about everything after that.
That's really the nitty gritty of that. But it's a lot of fun. Just watching or listening to a couple guys or three guys goof off. Essentially is what that is. But you're also going to be able to find any of our shorts and lots of Sam's shorts on the site. And I think we're actually looking to make it a bit commercial too, and have it be a professional aspect of the website for people to contact us for local commercials or things like that.
Excellent. That's actually something we've been doing as well. So
Yeah, we're going to get into that in the next
there is a market out there for it, because there's only really two bigger production houses in town, Running Pony and V2 now.
Yeah, I keep saying TV too.
And they're really the only real larger production houses in town doing that kind of work. So there's a real market of businesses out there that, maybe don't want something quite that extensive.
Yeah, exactly. Something like a sort of mid-level
Yeah,
commercial thing.
more
or
of a mid-level,
yeah.
but still something catchy. And as filmmakers, and this is what I've been kind of promoting, or one of the things that we promote for us when we're doing it, as filmmakers, we bring a certain artistic quality that your average corporate videographer might not have.
Yeah, we'll definitely make them.
We understand certain things about the way a shot works, not just does it sell something. But there's an emotional undertone to shots, and as a David Lynch fan, I know that you understand and have studied almost every shot of a film that you watch, or every shot you design, because there is a thinking behind it all. What about music? Is any of your music there as well, or?
Yeah, I've done just a small handful of songs just for whether it's the podcast or our Kickstarter video or things like that. So this has actually been the most satisfying way for me to get music out there, and is just creating these novelty songs for our website and projects that we do.
Will you be doing the soundtrack work, or
no,
than the title track?
No, I think we can possibly look forward to a different version of "I Filmed Your Death" being in the movie,
yeah, it'll be the Misfits version. It'll be in there, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be very fun, and I don't know. I think we're even talking about just doing a few just novelty videos just for the fun of it.
Okay.
But yeah, the soundtrack's actually shaping up to be pretty cool. This week we just got permission to use Peter Tork's unused song that he wrote for Easy Rider in the movie.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna be able to do that, and that'll be pretty awesome.
So one of the questions I was going to have is if you were licensing songs, or if you were going to get a all original soundtrack, or what you were doing.
It's going to be a mix, because I mean soundtracks are super important to me, and I love a good soundtrack.
Are you going for Eno's Baby's on Fire?
No, I don't think that'll be in our price range, unfortunately. But we are going to have the theme song to Sergeant Kabuki Man and NYPD in it, which all three of us are really excited about.
Yeah. There's probably nobody more excited about it than the three guys.
Yeah.
Like, we sang that song like probably every day.
All right. Well, Sam, I look forward to it. I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
I'll be in contact for that private screening when it's appropriate. Charlie, as always, fantastic to see you. Wish you the best with everything. I'm sure we'll see you around town on at least one or two films over the course of the year, and hopefully a couple of them will be your own. Brett, if possible, I'd like to have you go ahead and scoop out your guitar and hit us out with that song again as we go out.
Happily.
Excellent. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Be with us next week. We are going to have a special event here. It's going to be called Fire at the Lodge, and we will be basically showing my catalog of work prior to my partnership with Jamie Hall, at which point we'll be leaving the DVDs here, and In Frame will be doing sort of a pre-game show on that, where we'll be discussing some of the projects and the things I've been through and the things I've done in film. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Brett? I don't like this crowd you're hanging out with, young lady.
But Dad,
I don't like this crowd you're hanging out with, young lady.
Dad, I mean...
Witness, if you will, a scene from a movie in which there was bad acting. To no fault of the actors, for which they paid for acting lessons and an acting coach. What they really needed was the Rising Fire Zone.